It's true, you know. I've had, uh, maybe it will distress a lot of people, but I've had an awfully nice life.
Remember the legendary symbol of the Wizard of Oz? Judy Garland had a troubled life, damaged by the very spotlight she once pursued. Why did such a talented star die alone and in financial difficulty at the age of... Watch until the end to understand why Judy Garland's life is called one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking tragedies. To understand why Judy Garland suffered such a cruel fate, we need to go back in time to her childhood, when the spotlight was calling her name from the time she was a toddler. Did Judy ever get to live as a child before becoming an entertainment star? Judy Garland's early life. She was born Frances Ethel Gumm on June 10, 1922, in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and she is better known by her stage name, Judy Garland. The road that led her to enter the entertainment industry was not one that she chose. Rather, it was one that was dictated by her parents, particularly her mother, who was very ambitious. Frances Ethel Gumm made her debut for the first time on stage before she was even capable of forming full phrases. In the beginning, the young performer participated in the Gumm Sisters, a group that included her elder sister, Mary Jane, and Dorothy Virginia. During this time, she displayed an extraordinary natural aptitude. The New Grand Theater in Grand Rapids, which was owned and run by her parents, was the location of her first performance that was later documented. Over her formative years, baby Frances swiftly established herself as the undeniable star of the family act. She had exceptional vocal powers that left spectators in a state of astonishment. After a scandal surrounding her father's alleged improper behavior with young men, the Gumm family moved to California in 1926. This move was a result of the scandal. Because of this transfer, little Frances was finally brought closer to the entertainment world, which would ultimately determine her success or failure. The Gumm sisters began their career by playing at the theater in Lancaster and later proceeded to perform all around Southern California. Over time, they gradually established a name in vaudeville circuits. It is said that Frances's mother, Ethel Gumm, exemplified the stereotypical stage mother that is associated with Hollywood. Frances's outstanding potential was identified by Ethel as their family's path to fame and money. Ethel was a fiercely motivated, persistent woman pushing her youngest daughter. According to reports within the business, she exerted complete control over her daughter's professional and personal growth in every conceivable way. Frances's life was forever altered by a fortunate change in her name in 1934, which coincided with the Gumm sisters' ongoing performance until that year. In the course of a performance in Chicago, comedian George Jessel proposed that the sisters alter their surname from the unattractive-sounding Gumm to the more pleasant-sounding Garland. Frances, on the other hand, started using the first name Judy after a song that was popular at that period. Judy Garland signing with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1935, when she was just 13 years old, was a defining occasion that marked the beginning of her solo career, and also the beginning of her separation from her sisters. Within a short period of time, the studio teamed her up with Rooney, another young star, resulting in a fruitful on-screen combination that pleased viewers in films such as Babes in Arms. Judy Garland was just 16 years old when she began filming The Wizard of Oz, the part that would forever define her profession throughout her whole career. It is important to note that she was not the first option for Dorothy Gale at MGM. The filmmakers first desired Shirley Temple, who had a greater reputation in the commercial world. Temple's vocal talents, on the other hand, were not capable of competing with Garland's amazing voice. Before Garland was finally able to earn the job, she had already been subjected to years of studio manipulation, because they believed that her growing physique was too mature for the role of the innocent Kansas farm girl. The bosses at MGM ordered that she wear an uncomfortable corset for the picture. This was done in order to make her look younger and more childish. In addition to this, her naturally curvaceous shape was hidden behind a clothing item that was specifically made to make her appear smaller. Even though millions of people enjoyed her depiction of a girl who only wanted to go home, the physical and emotional toll of filming The Wizard of Oz foretold the challenges that would follow Garland throughout her career. Garland's youth was sacrificed at the altar of Hollywood success, and those hardships would haunt her throughout her whole career. But the limelight was never a reward for Judy Garland. When fame came, she was not free. She was controlled, suffocated both physically and mentally. Can you imagine a teenage girl relying on drugs to survive on a film set? The dark side of fame. Some of the following accounts may make you uncomfortable, but they are necessary to understand the injustice in the entertainment industry at that time. One of the most shocking facts about Hollywood's treatment of young stars in the 1930s was how it treated Judy Garland. There was a harsh truth about Judy Garland's life at MGM that extended far beyond her professional career and into the most private areas of her life. This reality was hidden behind the rainbow and ruby slippers she wore. From the moment Garland signed with MGM, she was subjected to relentless criticism about her appearance. Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM, regularly made derogatory comments about Garland's appearance, which left her psychologically scarred. MGM did not allow her to eat anything other than chicken soup, black coffee, and cigarettes, a diet that modern medical doctors would consider extremely dangerous. The spies Mayer hired watched her closely and reported any instances of her sneaking a bite of her favorite ice cream sundae. Additionally, to achieve the specific look they wanted, studio executives forced her to wear painful prosthetics on her nose and teeth while also forcing her to fasten her waist. Garland's addiction to stimulants, which began as a child and was approved by the studio, was perhaps the most painful aspect of her life. Before Judy turned 10, her mother, Ethel Gum, whom Judy later called the real Wicked Witch of the West, gave her her first drugs. She gave her to stimulate her performance, and she gave her sleeping pills to help her relax. Often MGM officials would give young performers pills to increase their energy, then give them sedatives to put them to sleep. This practice became more common. They made us work day and night, Garland later recalled. Time and time again, even when we were completely exhausted, they would give us pills to keep us standing. Then we were taken to the studio hospital where we were given sleeping pills. Every 4 hours, they would wake us up and give us another shot of energy pills, so we could work for a total of 72 hours. Garland was subjected to extremely harsh treatment during the making of The Wizard of Oz. To look more boyish and achieve the goal of flattening her bulging breasts, MGM made her wear tight-fitting clothes. She wore a gingham dress that was deliberately chosen to blur her figure, which executives found objectionable. She was addicted to barbiturates and amphetamines at the time of filming. Garland's experience is a stark illustration of how the entertainment industry once put fame and profit above human health and dignity. During this time, Garland was repeatedly harassed. Mayer would often compliment her singing by rudely touching her when she sang from the heart. She was repeatedly molested by studio executives during this time. After the threats, an executive asked her to cooperate immediately, saying, "I'm going to break you and I can do it. You can count on me to break you if it's the last thing I do." Even the actors who played the Munchkins were said to have been rude to her while she was in costume. According to one story, they thought they could get away with anything because they were so small. Garland was completely under the influence of the studio, and her mother, by the time she was 17, she was also drugged and exploited, which laid the foundation for her troubles throughout her life. But that's just the beginning. When she leaves the film set, will her personal life improve, or will tragedy continue to surround her even in love and family? You're watching this video because you need to know that. Marriages, breakdowns, and loss. From an early age, Garland struggled with emotional turmoil and the pressures of the entertainment industry, which made her life chaotic, full of conflict and tragedy. She had several marriages but rarely found lasting peace and happiness. In 1946, Judy gave birth to her daughter, Liza, one of the most precious gifts of her life, with director Vincente Minnelli, whom she married for the second time. She had previously been married at the age of 19 to composer David Rose, but the marriage lasted only 3 years before ending in heartbreak and divorce. Garland's drug addictions became more serious over time, and suspicions about Minnelli's sexual orientation also contributed to the rift in their relationship. Judy's third marriage lasted longer, 13 years, to producer Sid Luft, a long and fraught affair. During this time, the couple had 2 children, Lorna and Joey. However, tensions and accusations against each other gradually led to the collapse of the marriage. Luft once shared that despite all the negative things that happened, no one could stop loving someone like Judy Garland, a heartfelt and touching comment that reflected the depth of their love despite the cracks. Her fourth marriage to actor Mark Herron was even more tragic when Garland accused Herron of hitting her, leading to a swift end after only 5 months. Aaron once coldly replied, "Yes, I hit her, but only in self-defense," revealing a dark and violent side to Garland's personal life. When she married Mickey Deans for the last time in 1969, she told the press, finally, I am loved," a statement filled with hope and a desire for happiness. However, tragedy continued to follow her as the marriage lasted only 3 months before her death. In addition to the turmoil in her relationships, Garland also suffered from secret pain related to her reproductive health. From a very young age, she was forced by her family and studio officials to have multiple abortions to maintain her pure image and conform to the Hollywood model of the female star at that time. At the age of 19, under pressure from her mother and David Rose, she had her first abortion. Another time, after her relationship with actor Tyrone Power in 1943, the studio intervened to have her have another abortion. These physical and mental injuries left a deep and lasting mark on her life. In 1946, when she gave birth to her daughter Liza with Minnelli, Garland suffered from severe postpartum depression, a disease that medical professionals now understand and treat more effectively, but which she suffered alone and in the dark. Garland was hospitalized for a month and suffered several serious mental breakdowns that led to her being admitted to psychiatric facilities. Those painful months took a toll on her mental health and well-being. Garland's 28th birthday was a traumatic milestone in her life, as she experienced moments of loss of control to the point that her husband, Luft, once found her in a state of uncontrollable chaos at their Beverly Hills mansion. He recalled that at times, when their lives seemed to be going well, she was haunted by demons that possessed her soul. At another event in Washington, Garland self-harmed and whispered to Luft, "Look, honey, what have I done?" the desperate words of someone battling the demons in her mind. During her marriage to Luft, Garland suffered at least 20 breakdowns, a staggering number that shows the severity of her mental health. By the age of 18, she had suffered at least 3 major nervous breakdowns, requiring multiple lengthy hospitalizations. Her inner turmoil was a profound reflection of childhood trauma, substance abuse, industry pressures, and the excessive expectations of her family and the public. After broken marriages, children, and attempts to rebuild her life, Judy Garland still couldn't escape the chaos. But if you think the tragedy stops there, you're wrong. Why did a star who once stood at the pinnacle of fame end her life so penniless and lonely? This will probably be the most painful chapter of her life. Financial ruin and a tragic end. The decades-long battle with addiction that Garland had been waging had left her not just physically exhausted, but also financially impoverished by the time the 1960s rolled around. At one time, she was able to command the best salary in Hollywood. Nevertheless, she was now confronted with crushing tax bills that deprived her of the riches she had earned from what would become her final appearances. Garland landed in London in December 1968 for a 5-week engagement at the Talk of the Town nightclub. The engagement was scheduled to begin. During these performances, the striking contrast between her persistent brilliance and her declining health was brought to light. Throughout certain evenings, she performed acts that were so riveting that they brought to mind her legendary position. On other occasions, she was noticed to be tardy, her speech was slurred, and she encountered aggressive reactions from crowds that were dissatisfied. Unfortunately, as a consequence of her unpredictable conduct, she was subjected to booing and being pelted with bread and glasses while she kept the crowd waiting. Her financial condition had deteriorated to the point where she was supposedly performing in homosexual piano bars around the time that she was nearing the end of her life for a meager $100 each night. Johnny Ray was there for the concert that Garland would perform at the Falconer Centre in Copenhagen on March 20, 1969. This event would turn out to be her last performance. Even though she weighed only 90 pounds, she performed an entire performance, which included her Over the Rainbow song. The body of Garland was found in their London home on the morning of June 22, 1969, by Mickey Deans, who was Garland's 6th husband and had only been married for 3 months. He was able to break down the locked door to the bathroom and discover her slouched on the toilet with her hands still supporting her head. Barbiturate poisoning quinobarbitone, incautious self-overdose, was determined to be the official cause of death in this case. Unintentional. Gavin Thurston, the coroner, concluded that this is quite clearly an accidental circumstance to a person who is accustomed to taking barbiturates over a very long time. Cirrhosis of the liver was also discovered during the autopsy, which occurred most likely as a result of years of alcohol usage. At the time of her passing, how old was Judy Garland? In a mere 12 days after her birthday, Judy Garland passed away at the age of. It is a monument to the continuing influence Diana had on followers all around the world, that her burial in New York attracted nearly 22,000 mourners. She will have a mystic survival, Frank Sinatra said, which is a very accurate statement. It was impossible to top her. Although the rest of us will be forgotten, Judy will never be forgotten. What do you think about Judy Garland's tragic life? Can fame and talent make up for the deep wounds of a stressful personal life and career? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.